8th time. That's the most Super Bowls played in any venue. As we welcome you to Fulton Street at Caesars, New Orleans. And the crowds are picking up as we inch closer. Well, might as well be Super Bowl weekend already. With Ryan Clark, Booger McFarland, I'm Steve Levy. You know, there are two kinds of turnovers. We're not talking about apple or blueberry. There are takeaways and giveaways. Yeah. And you could make the argument the Eagles are here because of the way they've taken away the football in the 3 previous playoff games. 7 different Eagles have a takeaway led by Zach Bond's 3 of them.
Listen, Zach Bond has been amazing throughout these playoffs, but it's the entire team. This team is coached up to make plays. And when you watch the tape, it isn't just one guy. It isn't just one way. They're figuring out ways to affect you on all 3 levels. Here you're going to see Zach Bond. It's going to be a very simple zone drop. Now, this is a control route. Tucker Kraft is supposed to hold Zach Bond's attention so they can sneak the dig right behind him. Look at him read Jordan Love's eyes. He flows underneath the dig. It's an interception for Zach Bond, who had an all-pro season. That was a guy that was signed to be a special teamer. Here you see a mug look. So they're going to bring both Burks and Bond. What does this do? This singles up Nolan Smith Jr. on the outside. And Boog knows this. This type of speed, this type of power gets to the quarterback, and they're always ball aware. Another recovery for Zach Bond. Nakobe Dean was huge all year. Oren Burks replaces him. Here, there's 7 yards between him and Austin Eckler when Jaden Daniels is throwing this football. He doesn't just go to make the tackle. Look at the punch out, then the wrap. Jalen Carter, Zach Bond flowing to the football. Zach Bond with the scoop because Jalen Carter's a big man, and much like Boog, he couldn't pick the ball up and keep on running. When you look at this team and this defense, turnovers have led the way in the playoffs. They need to do that.
10 takeaways for the Eagles defense this postseason. Well, on the offensive end, this is key too. Not a single turnover. That's the most takeaways without a turnover by a single team entering the Super Bowl all time. So, Booger, as good as Philly has been taking the football away, this also is remarkable. The Chiefs have 1 giveaway in the last 9 games. So they can't let what Philly does get into their heads. They don't want to change anything here.
No doubt. They don't want to change anything. And this is not the old Kansas City Chief offense with Tyreek Hill, where they're throwing the football 40 and 50 yards down the field. They're going to matriculate the ball underneath, and this Philly defense is going to allow them to do that. It's going to be a lot of zone coverage, not giving up the big plays. And it's about situational football for Kansas City. It's about 2nd and medium, 3rd and short, red zone. Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce are not just killing, they are annihilating zone coverage. And so understand this, when you watch this Chiefs game, it's going to be about their ability to not necessarily dink and dunk, but it's going to be the 9, 10, 12 play drives. We're not used to that if you go back 4 or 5 years with the Chiefs offense. This Chiefs offense is trying to control the football. The big play, although they are capable, it's really not there. It's about understanding the zone coverage.
Well, doesn't it just feel like the Kansas City Chiefs are thinking to themselves, let's just get 15 to the end of the game.
Yes.
If we get 15 to the end of the football game and it's close, we know that our guys and our team makes plays.
If Mahomes has good ball management, they'll win the Super Bowl probably on Sunday. His 8th season will end in his 4th Super Bowl. That's 50%, guys.
That's crazy.
If Tom Brady, you win 10 Super Bowls if Mahomes plays 20 years, but we shall see about that. That's the story for now. SportsCenter's coverage of Super Bowl
91, Nick, when they beat Buffalo, if you tell any of us, hey, man, they're never getting back. It'll be 33 years, and they won't be there. We'd go, ha! Folly! What are you talking about? Hadn't happened. We haven't been back. And so when I left Arrowhead for the 3rd time this year, we were there for 2 Monday night and 1 playoff game. I'm at the airport and I see these young kids, and kids like 10, and I said, I want you to understand something. I realized later I'm like some junkie, like scared straight, but I'm like, hey,
it's
kid.
the greatest time of your life.
Hey, kid, it's never going to be this good again, and I want you to truly appreciate. Ask your parents, they'll tell you. And they're like, no, for sure. But I really feel, Nick, at Arrowhead, which is such a special place, that incredible fan base and the organization have guys like Reed and Kelsey that know it doesn't always have to be like this, but it is now. And it won't always be like this, but we're appreciating it. How much do you allow yourself the appreciation as a fan, not a broadcaster, but just as like,
is it? No,
man.
it is. So here is, I think Chiefs fans are in a very, if you're a lifelong Chiefs fan, it's a very unique set of experiences leading into Patrick that I think set you up to appreciate it, because they were a very, obviously they were great right in the beginning of the Super Bowl era, but now you've got to be 70 years old to remember that. Like, so just, let's say people my age, out anywhere in their 40s to 50s. We were really good in the 90s. Yeah. I think the Chiefs won the second most games of any team in the 90s. And then we really didn't have extended periods of bad. You had some awful seasons, but then they were really good in the 90s with Marty. Then they were really good with Trent Green. Mm-hmm. Then they got Andy Reid. Mm-hmm. But between the time when Patrick Mahomes took the field for the first time, they had won one playoff game in 25 years, despite 4 times having a bye. So it was a fan base that knew, man, we could be really good, and Lynn Elliott can miss 3 field goals. John Elway can rip our heart out. Yep. We can play Peyton Manning and have 0 punts and lose. We can blow a 28-point lead to Andrew Luck. We can blow an 18-point lead to Marcus Mariota because he throws a touchdown to himself to take the lead. And so it wasn't what Lions fans are going through right now, precursor, which is we've never been anywhere good. This is amazing. It was we've been consistently in the mix without having a real chance. And so to go from my whole life thinking, okay, we can be good, but we're going to find a way. The first player ever to be taken out of a football game because of concussion protocols, Jamal Charles, in a playoff game that he wanted to keep playing him, but his head bounced off the turf as the Chiefs were going up 28 points. He went to the locker room, and all of a sudden Andrew Luck is fumbling, recovering it, scoring, and we're losing. And so to go from that to the exact opposite feeling, which is
inevitable.
Down, right, and inevitable before it was proven. I can't, no one will, people might not believe me on this. Before we had won the Super Bowl, when we had only won one playoff game with Patrick, we were down 24-0 to Houston. Yep. And I was sitting, I think, with Bomani, and I was like, not great, but I think we're okay. Like, it was just, and then when you do that, and then you're down 10 with 6 minutes left in the Super Bowl and win by 11, and then you're down 10 in another Super Bowl and win, down 10 in another Super Bowl and win. It is the exact opposite feeling. And I think the fans that is why these fans not only appreciate it, but are so, unhinged, my words, and I'm talking about myself, protective of the team, to where on the Sunday you're supposed to be appreciating that's the AFC Championship game. You're kind of irrationally attacking Adam Schefter.
You're seething. You're filled with unhinged
so
rage.
Angry.
Yeah.
I hope the audience understands how much I appreciate and respect you and really like you, even though we don't know each other. I was so mad at you for picking against them last year. I'm like, he should know better. I was like, and so it is irrational. It is irrational fandom that I can't, it courses through my veins, and it just is who I am.
I wanted to see Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs have to go on the road. Absolutely wanted it. And I said it 1,000 times. I want you to hear it for the 1,001st. It wasn't that I didn't believe that he could win on the road. Of course not. I just wanted to see him do it purely as a fan of greatness. Brady had to do it. He should have to do it. Everyone has to do it. It can't always be cake and ice cream. And you make the point correctly. It hasn't always been. They had to pull it out of the fire many different times. Of course, the famous game against Watson and Houston, where they're down 24 and they win by 1 million, and then several Super Bowls where they've done it. But I just wanted to see him have to go on the road. And then last year, there were 4 teams, other than the Chiefs, that at one time or another were the flavor of the week, month, or season. Yeah, Miami Dolphins, Buffalo Bills, Baltimore Ravens, and San Francisco 49ers.
And they clocked them all
in a row.
In a row. That's why.
And 2 of them on the road. 2 of them on the road, right. And I wanted to see it. And then they're like, I mean, Mahomes could have. He wasn't saying it to me. Nick, but he could have been. It's like, is there anything else you'd like to see? You baldhead bozo.
No, and they were Vegas underdogs in the final 3. And that's why I found the gift the sports media has given the Chiefs is they get to be the first ever reigning peak of their powers dynasty while credibly playing people don't think we're that good card.
That's true.
And last year, I disagreed with it, but they had lost 5 of 8 games at one point. They hadn't gone on the road. It seemed like the entire receiving core was actively working against the team. So at least last year, there was credible arguments for it.
They lost on Christmas Day on their home field to a team who didn't complete a pass after the first quarter.
Right.
That was the Raiders.
So
we weren't out of our mind, Nick.
No,
I wasn't doing it to make you mad. I swear to God. I was doing it because I didn't believe them.
Last year, I understood it. I didn't agree because at the end of the day, I was like, well, I don't know. What everyone is saying is the defense is awesome. I don't trust the passing game. And I'm like, I'll sign up for it because I think Patrick will figure it out.
Yeah.
So last year I got it. This year it felt dumb. And I'm not talking about you because I didn't hear it. This year it was.
Well now, folks, we got ourselves one heck of a quarterback showdown this postseason. Patrick Mahomes and Jalen Hurts are 2 of the biggest stars in the NFL, and both have been lighting it up when it matters most. But when it comes down to brass tacks, who's been the better QB in the 2024 playoffs? Let's break it down. Jalen Hurts has had himself a season to remember. The man racked up 2,903 passing yards, 18 touchdowns, 14 rushing TDs, and 630 yards on the ground. His 68.7% completion rate was his best yet, proving he's sharpened up his passing game. After a rough 2023 where he tossed a career-worst 15 interceptions, Hurts came back strong and led the Eagles to a rock-solid 14-3 record, securing that number 2 seed in the NFC. And let's not forget, this is his second trip to the Super Bowl in just 3 seasons. After coming up short last time, you better believe he's got revenge on his mind. On the other side, we got Patrick Mahomes, Mr. Big Game himself. His numbers may not have been as flashy this season, but he still put up 3,128 passing yards, 26 TDs, 2 rushing scores, and 307 yards on the ground. The Chiefs finished with the best record in the AFC at 15-2, securing themselves a nice little bye to start the playoffs. At this stage in his career, Mahomes ain't chasing stats. He's chasing rings. And if he pulls this off, Kansas City will be the first team in NFL history to three-peat. That's dynasty-level stuff right there. So, who's been the better QB in the playoffs? Now, keep in mind, Mahomes has played 2 games, while Hurts has played 3, since the Chiefs got that first-round bye. But even with that, Hurts has been the more efficient passer, completing 69.6% of his throws compared to Mahomes' 66.7%. That being said, Mahomes is as clutch as they come, and the man just knows how to win when it matters. Now, let's talk favorites. The Chiefs are heading into Super Bowl LIX with the edge. Vegas has them as 1.5-point favorites. But don't count out the Eagles just yet. Hurts and that Philly squad are hungry, and they're looking to shake up the football world. Could we see an upset? You never know in this league, especially when the stakes are this high. At the end of the day, it all comes down to who steps up when the lights are brightest. Will Mahomes cement his legacy with another ring, or will Hurts complete his redemption? Arc and bring Philly a championship? One thing's for sure, this Super Bowl is going to be one for the ages. So who y'all got? You riding with Mahomes and the Chiefs, or is it Hurts' time to shine?